The massive starship glided silently through the darkness of space, its sleek hull reflecting distant starlight. Inside the diplomatic vessel, Unji Park stood with her hands clasped behind her back, watching the alien delegation with calm precision. The Corva representatives were unlike anything humans had encountered before. Their bodies resembled intricate sculptures of liquid metal, constantly shifting and rippling with each movement. Their lead diplomat, a towering figure named Coral, looked down at the human delegation with obvious disdain. "Your species continues to surprise us," Coral said, his voice a mechanical rumble that seemed to vibrate through the ship's communication systems. "You claim to be advanced, yet your technological records show primitive weapons like bows and arrows." Unji didn't flinch. She had heard this mockery countless times before. While other diplomats might have felt insulted, she saw an opportunity. Her fingers unconsciously traced the outline of a carbon fiber ball pin on her jacket, a family heirloom that represented generations of archery excellence. The human delegation consisted of scientists, military strategists, and diplomatic experts. Each had been carefully selected to represent humanity's best qualities. But Unji was different. She wasn't just a diplomat or a strategist. She was a world champion archer with a military background that included precision marksmanship training. Coral continued his verbal assault. "How can a species that once used wooden sticks to launch small pointed objects hope to compete in a galactic civilization?" The other Corva representatives laughed, their metallic bodies shimmering with what seemed like amusement. What they didn't know was that Unji had spent years studying not just archery, but the mathematical principles behind precision targeting. Her doctoral research had explored how ancient archery techniques could be applied to modern computational systems. She saw patterns where others saw only tradition. "Weapons evolve," Unji finally responded, her voice calm and measured. "Principles of precision remain constant." The ship's communication systems translated her words, but the nuance was lost on the Corva delegation. They saw her as a representative of a young, naive species, one that had barely begun to understand interstellar travel. Outside the ship's massive viewing windows, stars continued their endless dance. Distant nebulae painted spectacular colors across the void, a reminder of the universe's complexity and mystery. Humanity was new to this grand stage, but they were quick learners. Coral's metallic body shifted, creating intricate geometric patterns that served as a form of nonverbal communication among his species. To human eyes, it looked like an elaborate, fluid dance. To the Corva, it was a language as complex as any spoken word. Unji watched carefully. She understood that diplomacy was about more than words. It was about reading between the lines, understanding unspoken tensions, and finding common ground. The human military attaché, a broad-shouldered man named Daniel Rodriguez, shifted uncomfortably. He knew the potential for conflict was high. Humanity had only recently achieved consistent faster-than-light travel, and they were still proving themselves in the galactic community. As the diplomatic discussions continued, Unji noticed something that others might have missed. The Corva's dismissive attitude wasn't just arrogance. It was fear. They saw humanity as a potential threat, an unpredictable species with untapped potential. And in that moment, Unji knew that her people would surprise them. Not through brute force or advanced technology, but through adaptability, creativity, and an understanding of fundamental principles that transcended mere technological advancement. The first encounter was just beginning, and humanity's true story was yet to be written. The first attacks came without warning. Massive ships emerged from hyperspace, cutting through human colony defenses like paper. They were the Nexus Raiders, a species known for their adaptive technology and ruthless expansion strategies. Jae-sung Kim watched the holographic displays in the central command center. Red markers indicated falling colonies, each point representing thousands of human lives. The military's standard weapon systems proved useless against the Raiders' advanced energy shields. "We're losing ground," whispered Captain Elena Rodriguez, her fingers dancing across multiple communication channels. Entire planetary defense networks were collapsing under the unexpected assault. The Corva diplomatic delegation, who had previously mocked humanity's potential, now watched in silent horror. Their advanced sensor technologies confirmed what human scanners were desperately trying to understand. The Nexus Raiders were systematically targeting human settlements with unprecedented precision. In a small research facility on Mars, Eun-ji Park studied the battle recordings. While others saw chaos, she saw patterns. The Raiders' weapons followed mathematical trajectories that reminded her of something familiar: archery principles. Her research team gathered around, watching her carefully. They knew Eun-ji wasn't just another military strategist. She was someone who could see connections where others saw only random destruction. Our current weapons are linear, she explained, pointing to complex holographic projections. We're thinking like machines. The Raiders are thinking like living systems. Jae-sung received her preliminary report. Most military commanders would have dismissed her unconventional theories. But he recognized something special in her approach: a blend of ancient understanding and modern computational thinking. The human colonies were losing hope. Communication networks showed increasing panic. Families were being evacuated, entire planetary infrastructures were collapsing, and traditional military responses seemed futile. Eun-ji's concept was radical: weaponize archery's fundamental principles into advanced defensive systems. She proposed computational algorithms that could predict and adjust weapon trajectories mid-flight, mimicking an archer's instinctive targeting skills. Precision is not about power, she told her research team. It's about understanding complex systems and finding their vulnerabilities. The Nexus Raiders continued their assault, believing humanity was just another species to be conquered. They didn't realize they were facing a civilization that had survived thousands of years of conflict by adapting, learning, and transforming. Jae-sung pushed Eun-ji's proposal through emergency military channels. Some commanders were skeptical, but desperation breeds innovation. They were losing too much to ignore any potential strategy. In orbital research labs, engineers and computational experts began working on Eun-ji's designs. They transformed ancient archery mathematics into next-generation weapon systems, creating projectiles that could think, adjust, and target with unprecedented accuracy. The human military was no longer just defending. They were preparing to fight back, using a strategy that blended human creativity with computational precision. Outside, space remained cold and indifferent. Distant stars continued their eternal dance, watching silently as another species fought for its survival. The Nexus Raiders believed they had found another easy conquest. They were about to learn how wrong they were. As tension escalated and hope seemed distant, humanity prepared its most unexpected weapon: not a technological marvel, but a strategy born from understanding the deepest principles of precision, adaptation, and survival. The real battle was just beginning. The research facility hummed with intense energy. Eun-ji Park stood before massive holographic displays, her fingers tracing complex mathematical equations that danced like living creatures across the screens. Her team worked in absolute silence. Each member understood they were developing something unprecedented: quantum resonance projectiles that could penetrate the most advanced energy shields known in the galaxy. Traditional weapons relied on brute force. Eun-ji's design was different. She studied thousands of years of archery techniques, combining them with cutting-edge computational algorithms. Each projectile would be a tiny, intelligent weapon capable of making mid-flight decisions. The key is adaptation, she explained to her lead engineer, Min-ho. An archer doesn't just release an arrow. An archer reads wind, calculates distance, adjusts trajectory in milliseconds. The first prototype looked nothing like a weapon. It resembled a slender, metallic arrow with intricate computational nodes embedded along its surface. When tested in simulated environments, it demonstrated capabilities that shocked even the most skeptical scientists. These projectiles could analyze energy shield frequencies, detect micro-vulnerabilities, and adjust their approach in real time. They weren't just missiles, they were intelligent hunters designed to find and exploit the smallest weaknesses. Military strategists watched the demonstrations with growing excitement. The Nexus Raiders' seemingly impenetrable defenses suddenly looked vulnerable. Jae-sung Kim reviewed the technical reports. Each page revealed a revolutionary approach to warfare, not about overwhelming power, but precise, intelligent targeting. Humanity was transforming an ancient skill into a futuristic weapon system. The computational core of each projectile was based on neural networks that mimicked human decision-making processes. They could learn, adapt, and make split-second tactical choices faster than any traditional computer system. During prototype testing, the projectiles demonstrated extraordinary capabilities. In simulated battle scenarios, they consistently found paths through complex defensive systems that traditional missiles would have considered impossible. "We're not just creating weapons," Unji told her team. "We're creating intelligence systems that understand the art of precision." The Corva diplomatic delegation, who had previously mocked human capabilities, now watched the development with increasing concern. They recognized that humanity was developing something truly revolutionary. Each projectile contained multiple layers of computational intelligence. They could analyze terrain, predict enemy movement patterns, and adjust their trajectory with microscopic precision. It was warfare transformed into an art form. The research team worked around the clock. Sleep became a luxury, replaced by endless cups of coffee and the burning desire to protect their species. They understood that their work could change the entire course of the conflict. Unji's personal background played a crucial role. Years of competitive archery, combined with her military training and computational expertise, had prepared her for this moment. She saw connections where others saw only separate disciplines. The weapon system's core principle was elegantly simple: understand the target better than the target understands itself. Each projectile became a learning system, gathering information and adapting in real time. Military simulations showed promising results. Against the Nexus Raiders' defensive systems, these quantum resonance projectiles performed beyond all expectations. They weren't just weapons, they were intelligent hunters capable of finding the most minute vulnerabilities. As development continued, humanity prepared for a confrontation that would change everything. The Nexus Raiders believed they were facing a technologically inferior species. They were about to discover how wrong they were. The Archer's innovation was more than a weapon. It was a statement, a declaration that human creativity could transform even the most ancient skills into tools of extraordinary potential. The real test was coming. And humanity was ready. The Europa colony hung like a fragile crystal against the dark backdrop of space. Massive Nexus Raider ships approached, their energy signatures promising total destruction. But this time, humanity was prepared. Unji Park stood on the central command bridge, her eyes fixed on the tactical displays. Around her, a team of specialists watched with tense anticipation. The quantum resonance projectile systems were primed and ready. The first wave of Nexus Raider ships emerged from hyperspace, their metallic hulls gleaming with advanced technology. They expected another easy conquest, another simple elimination of a supposedly inferior species. "Targeting systems online," announced Minho, his fingers dancing across holographic control panels. The room felt electric with tension, every breath measured, every movement calculated. Massive energy signatures began building around the human defense platforms. Unlike previous battles, these weapons were different. They weren't just machines, they were intelligent hunters designed to find and exploit the smallest weaknesses. The first volley of quantum resonance projectiles launched. They moved unlike any weapon seen before, not in straight lines, but with fluid, almost organic trajectories. Each projectile analyzed its target in microseconds, adapting and shifting its path with incredible precision. Nexus Raider commanders watched in growing confusion. Their advanced energy shields, which had decimated countless civilizations, suddenly seemed ineffective. The human projectiles found microscopic vulnerabilities, sliding through defenses like water through cracks. One by one, Raider ships began to disintegrate. Not through overwhelming force, but through precise, calculated strikes that targeted their most critical systems. It was warfare transformed into an art form, each projectile a brush, each strike a careful stroke. Unji remained calm. Years of archery training had taught her that true precision was about patience, understanding, and finding the perfect moment. Her team had created weapons that embodied those principles. The battle wasn't just a conflict. It was a demonstration of human potential, a statement that creativity and understanding could overcome raw technological power. Alien observation platforms recorded everything. Species across the galaxy watched in stunned silence as a supposedly primitive civilization dismantled one of the most advanced attacking forces in known space. "Shield penetration at 98%, announced a tactical officer. The Nexus Raider fleet, which had conquered dozens of civilizations, was being systematically destroyed by intelligent projectiles that seemed to think and move with living intelligence. Hours passed. What should have been a quick invasion turned into a complete defeat for the Nexus Raiders. Their most advanced technologies crumbled against human innovation, a weapon system born from the principles of an ancient Earth skill. As the last Raider ship fell, a profound silence descended. Unji understood this was more than a military victory. It was a moment that would reshape how the galaxy viewed humanity. The quantum resonance projectiles had done more than win a battle. They had proven that human potential was defined not by current technology, but by the ability to understand, adapt, and innovate. Jae-sung Kim watched the aftermath, a slight smile crossing his face. The Corva diplomatic delegation, who had once mocked human capabilities, now sat in stunned silence. Humanity had just written a new chapter in galactic history. Not through brute force, but through intelligence, creativity, and an understanding of fundamental principles that transcended traditional warfare. The decisive battle was over. And the universe would never be the same. The Galactic Conference Hall buzzed with an electric tension. Representatives from hundreds of different species sat in circular arrangements, their eyes fixed on Unji Park as she stood at the central platform. Holographic displays showed detailed recordings of the recent battle, a confrontation that had redefined military strategy across the known universe. The Nexus Raider defeat was more than a simple victory. It was a turning point in galactic understanding. Coral, the Corva diplomatic leader who once mocked humanity, now looked visibly uncomfortable. His metallic body shifted nervously as multiple species demanded explanations about the revolutionary weapon system. "Precision is not about technology," Unji explained, her voice calm and measured. "It's about understanding fundamental principles of targeting, adaptation, and intelligence." The quantum resonance projectiles became an instant subject of study. Scientific delegations from dozens of advanced civilizations requested detailed technical briefings. What humans had created was more than a weapon, it was a new approach to computational warfare. Military strategists from across the galaxy studied every detail of the human innovation. They discovered something remarkable: the weapon system was based on principles of archery that were thousands of years old, transformed through advanced computational thinking. Jae-sung Kim stood nearby, watching with quiet pride. Humanity had proven itself not through overwhelming force, but through creativity and intelligent design. The galactic community was beginning to see humans differently. The Corva delegation's previous mockery now seemed embarrassingly short-sighted. They had underestimated a species capable of transforming ancient skills into next-generation technological solutions. Multiple alien governments began requesting technology exchanges. Research institutions offered collaboration opportunities. Humanity was no longer seen as a young, inexperienced species, but as an innovative civilization with unique problem-solving capabilities. Unji received commendations from multiple galactic councils. Her approach to weapon design was being studied as a revolutionary strategic concept. Universities began developing courses exploring the principles she had demonstrated. The quantum resonance projectile technology quickly became a blueprint for defensive systems across multiple civilizations. What began as a human innovation was now becoming a universal concept of intelligent targeting. "We did not create a weapon," Unji told the conference. "We created a method of understanding complex systems through precision and adaptability." Her words resonated across the conference hall. Species that had previously ignored or dismissed humanity now listened with intense interest. The battle had proven that technological superiority was not about raw power, but about intelligent design. Research teams began exploring how archery principles could be applied to other technological challenges. The human approach of combining ancient skills with computational thinking opened new possibilities across multiple scientific disciplines. The Nexus Raiders, once considered an unbeatable force, had been completely dismantled. Their defeat became a case study in military academies across the galaxy, a perfect example of how innovative thinking could overcome seemingly insurmountable technological advantages. Alien diplomatic channels began requesting more information about human culture, particularly about archery and precision sports. They recognized that these ancient practices contained deep mathematical and strategic principles. As the conference concluded, it was clear that something fundamental had changed. Humanity was no longer viewed as a minor species, but as a potential leader in innovative thinking and strategic design. Unji understood this was more than a personal victory. It was a moment that would reshape humanity's place in the galactic community. The principles of precision, adaptation, and intelligent design had proven more powerful than any advanced weapon system. The galaxy was watching. And humanity had just shown its true potential.